Carlo Acutis was the son of Italian parents. He was born on May 3, 1991, in London, the time where his father was working. His father, Andrea Acutis, and mother, Antonia Salzano Acutis, moved to Milan, Italy just few months later after Carlo's birth, of which his father became chairman of the Italian insurance and financial company Vittorio Assicurazioni SpA. His parents were not devout Catholics before Carlo was born. From a young age, Carlo had a special love for God, even though his parents weren't especially devout. His mother claimed that she went to Mass only for her first communion, her confirmation, and her wedding. But as a young child, Carlo loved to pray the rosary. After he made his first communion, he went to Mass as often as possible at the parish across from his elementary school. The ritual of the Eucharist became his lifelong passion, and he often asked his parents to take him to the birthplaces of saints and the sites of Eucharistic miracles. Carlo's love for the Eucharist also inspired a deep conversion for his mother. According to the postulator promoting his cause for sainthood, claimed that Carlo managed to drag his relatives, his parents, to Mass every day. It was not the other way around. It was not his parents bringing the little boy to Mass, but it was he who managed to get himself to Mass and to convince others to receive communion daily. Acutis showed interest in helping others from a young age. He frequently defended schoolmates who were bullied, and he spent money he had earned on items for people experiencing poverty, such as a sleeping bag for a man without a home whom he encountered on the way to his church. He also sought to help elderly and disabled people in his community as well as refugees. His devotion inspired his parents to become practicing Catholics, and his mother became especially devout, enrolling in a theology course so that she could better answer her son's religious questions. Carlo's witness of faith as a child led adults to convert and be baptized. Rajesh Mahur, who worked for the Acutis family as an au pair when Carlo was young, converted from Hinduism to Catholicism because of Carlo's witness. Carlo taught Mahur how to pray the rosary and told him about the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. Mahur said that one of the things that most impressed him as a non-Christian was the witness of Carlo's love and concern for the poor, how he interacted with the homeless man who would sit at the entrance of the church and would bring Tupperware dishes filled with food out to people living on the streets. Carlo wasn't afraid to defend church teaching, even in situations when his classmates disagreed with him. Many of Carlo's high school classmates remember Carlo giving a passionate defense for the protection of life from the moment of conception when there was a classroom discussion about abortion. Apart from practicing his faith, Acutis enjoyed playing video games and was fascinated with computers. He learned how to use the internet at an early age and taught himself computer programming and graphic design. He limited himself to playing video games for 1 hour a week, however, as a form of penance and spiritual discipline. He documented his spiritual progress by keeping a diary in which he wrote down his good marks for good behavior and bad marks for when he failed to live up to his own expectations. At age 11 he began to investigate Eucharistic miracles throughout history. In a 2023 interview with EWTN News Nightly, his mother recalled, "He used to say, there are queues in front of a concert, in front of a football match, but I don't see these queues in front of the Blessed Sacrament." So, for him the Eucharist was the center of his life. He built a website to document Eucharistic miracles around the world, and he eventually catalogued more than 150 miracles, listing them by country and date in nearly 20 different languages. For each miracle he created a web page that could be downloaded and printed. He also included maps, videos, and a virtual museum on the site. The website became a helpful tool of religious instruction for many parishes around the world. It was also regarded by the Church as an example of how technology and the internet can be used for spiritual good and to spread the gospel. In October 2006, when he was 15 years old, Acutis fell ill with what his parents initially believed was the flu. When his symptoms worsened, he was taken to a hospital in Milan, where he was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. Leukemia is a type of cancer that affects the blood and bone marrow. It usually begins in the bone marrow, where an abnormality occurs in the white blood cells. These cancerous cells can crowd out healthy blood cells, leading to various symptoms like fatigue, frequent infections, and easy bleeding or bruising. Carlo offered his sufferings to Pope Benedict XVI and the Church. He was transferred to a hospital in Monza, Italy, and within a few days he suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and fell into a coma. Carlo was pronounced dead on October 12. The church where his funeral service was held was described as overflowing with people he had helped throughout his short life. Initially buried in a cemetery in the village of Turnengo, his body was reburied in January 2007 in Assisi, which he had requested because of his devotion to Saint Francis of Assisi. The calls for Acutis's beatification and canonization opened in 2012 and received approval from the Holy See the following year. On July 5, 2018, he was declared venerable by Pope Francis. His first miracle was attributed to him in early 2020, in response to a Brazilian boy born with a malformed pancreas having been healed after praying to Acutis for his intercession and receiving one of his relics. Acutis was beatified, or declared blessed, by Francis on October 10, 2020. In May 2024, Francis recognized a second miracle that was attributed to Acutis's intercession, paving the way for his likely canonization in 2025. Because of his interest in computers and his miracles website, Acutis was popularly called the patron saint of the internet once his cause for sainthood was underway. He has also been dubbed the first millennial saint, because he is the first person of the millennial generation to have become a candidate for sainthood. The biography My Son Carlo Acutis Through the Eyes of His Mother, written by his mother and journalist Paolo Rodari, was published in 2023.